Last week I talked about know-it-alls, and this week I want to talk about a related topic. People who say they know it all, but won't tell you anything. These are the people in the mindset of, well, I figured it out all by myself. You can figure it out all by yourself, too. No. No, you didn't. To set everything up, I want to share an experiment I did on YouTube. I released a video that was a puzzle game, and the game had two rules. No search engines, no spoilers. I wanted to see if people could figure out a puzzle all by themselves. The puzzle is called Molly Dodd, and spoiler alert, I'm going to give away the answer after this clip. Molly Dodd is odd, but not peculiar. You see, Molly Dodd has a skull, but she has no head. She doesn't have eyes, but she can see. She doesn't have a mouth, but she does have teeth. And she doesn't have any emotions, but she's got very deep feelings. Molly Dodd is odd, but not peculiar. Molly loves kittens and puppies, but she really hates dogs and cats. Molly Dodd loves the fiddle, but she hates violins. Now, Molly Dodd does not have an apartment or a house, but she does have a room, and this room has a door, and it's got smooth wood floors, it's got 3 walls, no windows, it's got a ladder that goes up to the roof because there is no ceiling. And even though there's no bed and no couches, she's got a lot of pillows, and she likes to sleep there, but she really hates to rest. Molly Dodd's room also has a bathroom, even though there's no toilet, there's no bathtub, there's no shower, there's no water, there's no pipes, but there is a mirror. Molly Dodd is odd, but not peculiar. That should be about enough to figure it out. The idea of the riddle is to recognize the pattern, then give more information about Molly in the same style. So what's the solution? Double letters. Molly Dodd likes and has things with double letters and hates and does not have things without double letters. So she likes kittens but hates cats, she likes cookies but hates baking, and technically speaking, she likes aardvarks but hates snow. All are correct. The wordplay is just intentionally designed to misdirect people into thinking the solution is somewhere else. Now, some people didn't even get it at all, and some people had to be coached with clues and hints until they did get it. A lot of people did give correct answers though, and some people heard it before under another name. I know on PBS's Zoom they had it there. Most didn't say how they figured it out, but I have a theory. Once I confirmed a correct answer, they started rolling in pretty quick, so I have a feeling that's what everybody was doing. They were glancing down in the comment section looking for clues and tips. And this is actually really telling about how people figure things out all by themselves. Answers create answers. Solutions create solutions. Knowledge creates knowledge. I'm gonna go on a limb here and guess that if you're watching this video, you've gotten some kind of an education in your lifetime. More than likely a publicly funded one, and this means that you've had knowledge crammed into your head at one point or another. That knowledge was gained by people working on what people before them had learned based on what people before them had learned. Okay, I know this sounds really new age hippie stuff here, but what you learned in high school is the result of hundreds of thousands of people leaving information behind after they died. They can do this because dead people wrote stuff down when they were alive, other people read it, learned from it, and expanded upon that knowledge. Written information saves us the time it would take to relearn everything that has already been figured out in the past. It also allows us to build on that knowledge. You see, human beings are really good at associating information together. So if I were to show you 3 random objects here, you'd probably associate those people thinking, oh, okay, this is a gimme, but you get the idea. The same thing happens with all kinds of information that you receive. You draw upon what you've learned in the past, and then suddenly you have the ding moment.
Knowledge is power!
So speaking in the broadest sense of the term, you did not figure out a gaming thing all by yourself. You had help somewhere along the way. At the very least, you learned how to interpret squiggles on paper from a puppet. Now you might be saying, well, what does all this have to do with gaming? I'm glad you asked. First, I want to talk about what everyone knows in gaming. It's stuff that gamers take as common sense, but it really wasn't always that way. Let's take Super Mario Bros. For example. Now I'm showing you the NES version, but it's basically the same as the arcade one. By now, we all know what you're supposed to do in the game. It's been done thousands of times by many other games, but I want you to imagine seeing this in an arcade cabinet for the first time. How do you play it? Is it worth 25 cents to try it? But you'll notice something here. The game eventually launches into a demo that also acts as a tutorial. Go to the right, smash all the question mark blocks, stomp on top of other things, hitting enemies in the side is bad. Okay, that's enough to get started here. All arcade games from Pac-Man to Space Invaders had similar demo screens that acted as basic tutorials. The game had to show you how to play it. Now it's just part of the gaming landscape, but at the time, we had to be taught the whole idea of a side-scrolling platformer. Now the same thing can be said for the WASD movement on PC games. Playing games on my old Apple IIc, the controls were everything from IJKL to AZ, period spacebar. If you just look down at your keyboard, the AZ layout makes a lot more sense than you think in a time before mice. So when you start a new game, especially one without instructions, you tend to fall back on your old experiences. Experiences that were more than likely taught to you in one way or another. You know, an older sibling showed you the WASD thing, games featured a tutorial that you hated at the time, a new game looks similar to something that you played way back when. All practical experiences that you carry from game to game. But again, somebody had to show you how to do it. If nobody showed you this stuff, then you'd be wasting most of your time every game trying to figure out the basics, like how to move. Now, I want you to imagine somebody has this information and they're intentionally withholding it from you, either to make fun of you or to, you know, actually you don't have to imagine very hard these days about that, do you? The association of information only works when information is shared. The moment you block that flow of information, we're back to figuring out fire, metaphorically speaking anyway. We're going to spend a lot of time fumbling blindly in order to obtain information that already exists. Some people don't mind this, and in fact, a lot of games, this discovery is where the fun is. Other games, it can be frustrating at best. Case in point, A Boy and His Blob. This was a game from the Nintendo Entertainment System back in 1989, and it was weird. If I were to sit you down in front of a TV and ask you to play it, you might kind of do what I'm doing right now. You just try all the buttons, you see what you have to work with, what items do what, and you could just spend an evening figuring out the basic concepts of the game. This is well before you figure out what you're supposed to be doing, which you may never ever get. Now just for fun, let's say I actively prevented you from going online and getting an FAQ or a walkthrough. How long do you think you'd last trying to figure the game out? Now let's say I actually have a printout of the FAQ in my hands, including what all the jelly beans do and where to find what you're supposed to find, and I tell you you can't read it. I'm just taunting you with it. I'm willing to bet you'd eventually just get frustrated, have some really choice words about me, and then just walk away from the game. And now you know how we feel when you jump onto a forum post and go, "Lol, I figured it out all by myself, go look it up, noob." Essentially what you're saying is that you have this information and you're calling us stupid because you're withholding it from us. You know, actually, come to think of it, I don't think most people that do that kind of thing actually have the information in all reality. Give a man a fish, teach a man to fish. I've run into this problem a lot, in that people just want to know how to press the I win button, and to them, this constitutes knowledge. It doesn't matter how something works, it's just important that it works. And, okay, that has a time and a place, like mid-fight when you don't have time to explain stuff. However, it does nothing to create new knowledge. A good example is just recently, in DCUO, I finally had the opportunity to give Noelle here a DPS-specific loadout. Prior to this, she mainly did healing, but could do DPS if necessary. So I looked around for some opinions on best builds, and one site really stuck out at me, and it's this one. It gave a best build, but didn't include why decisions were made one way or the other, nor any clue on how to use the information effectively. It was giving me information, but no comprehension. Now this could be repeated at almost every MMO with a power or stealth system like this, in which there are dozens of people who present what they think is the best build, but they offer no explanation as to why they are better than other options. And the few that do discuss theory do so in a language that's way over the head of most players, and sometimes they do this intentionally. And most of the so-called helpful people who tell me what I should have on my loadout and my live stream, they don't understand the theory. They just know that, well, this is what I do and I rule, so you should do it too. Let me simplify this for you. If you tell me to do something your way, and you can't tell me why it's better than any other way to do things, then you don't know theory. You're basically running a program that doesn't deviate from anything else, and you don't actually have knowledge. I could actually replace you with a very small shell script, and it would do the same exact job as you, with a lot less lip. Understanding the theory of why something works gives a short-term and a long-term advantage. In the immediate, it allows for improvisation. I have saved many a raid by doing something like taunting a bad guy off a healer for 5 seconds or filling a role I wasn't supposed to, but I could cover it. In the long term, it helps build the knowledge base because I can now bring my understanding of other things into play. Like World of Tanks, for example. If I understand my tank capabilities, strengths, and weaknesses, I can apply what I've learned from years of paintball, my knowledge of Sun Tzu's writings, what I've learned about PvP in other games, and even human psychology to some extent, and I can make my decisions accordingly, and then after the battle, I could use my knowledge of all this to teach players why specific things work or don't work at specific times and make their gaming experience better. But it only works if there's a free flow of information. Hoarding knowledge or overcomplicating knowledge, you might as well be just throwing the torch into the Library of Alexandria at that point. We live in a really weird time in which we literally have the information of the world at our fingertips. We just don't know what questions to ask in order to get to it. This is why it's important to teach and why it's important to understand the theory of why things work. Yeah, I know, it takes time. It's a lot faster to say, just do what I do, but in the end, understanding why things work makes things a lot better. And it would do the same exact job as you, with a lot less lip. That is the most condescending thing I've ever done, but I like it.